So you got plus.
Okay.
It's not on this version. It's 9 o'clock. I think that would have been wrong for.
And Jody's here.
Okay, call this meeting to order, and we're gonna start with an opening prayer by Miss Sherry, and then it's gonna give our, lead us in the pledge.
Our most Heavenly Father, we come before in the name of Jesus Christ, and we ask you to be with us in this meeting. Keep us online and keep us in order and help us to go and have wisdom and understanding, and just give us wisdom and bless us this day. And thank you, Father, for blessing us in the past, and thank you for the rain and the snow and even for the wind. In Jesus' name, amen. I'd like to even see of you on the stage. And you should reply. She sings one nation under the bottom into the school with the conversation for all.
Okay, we're gonna welcome all of you all out here today, and I'm gonna ask for approval of the agenda. Do we have Hayden?
Hayden's not
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
on motion to approve.
I second. All in favor? Aye. Approval of minutes?
There is no minutes this time.
Okay, so we're gonna move into public comment. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. The county commission is not able to act on matters discussed during public comment. Speakers are requested to state their name for the record.
Chair, I have 3 letters that the commission office received.
Madam Chair, if I might,
Yes,
can you hear me?
yes.
I think pursuant to our rules that the public comments required to be in person.
Okay, all right. So we can, move on to anyone in the audience that has public comment. Okay, Carolyn? No, go ahead, Carolyn.
Morning. My name is Carolyn Nelson. I'm from Alma. I just drove it really quick. I wanted to catch my thoughts. Will you give me when I have a minute left so I know I?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. My comments are about the charging station that's going to go in Camano. And my question is, I think these are fair questions. Is the charging station going to just cost the expense of the grant? And where do we see that as a community? And then I assume the county has done due diligence, and where the charging station can charge a car in 20 minutes instead of 10 hours, the 20 minutes won't hurt the grid in that area. And then has the county done due diligence on how will it affect the roads with the heavy batteries? Like semis and stuff. You know, you hear the chatter that it's very heavy, the batteries and semis are heavy. Will that affect us in the future? So those are my 2 questions. I'd like to know what it costs us, and are the roads okay, and will it hurt the electrical grid in that area? And then I just got this on my way here. It's about the sign installation at the Glenwood Senior Center. And I guess there's I'm not sure if is there something? I thought there was. I know we can't take question and answer right now. But somebody sent me a thing saying, I suggest that the county contact Navajo Apache and set a meter and service for the sign rather than upgrade the senior center. So I don't know if that's even, I just found that, haven't talked to the
Carolyn, 1 minute.
board. And, I have 1 minute. I really love what you guys do. Thank you. I know this is not a well-paying job. Thank you for what you do. As far as the fair is concerned, I compare it to how the Glenwood School was treated. And the Glenwood School, as you know, was shut down. And then all our people from Glenwood took care of themselves. For the most part, the numbers don't send the kids up here. And I think if we hurt our 4-H kids in Glenwood, we will still take care of them. Or our 4-H club kids, even if they're out of state and out of county. We know how to survive and we will take care of them. So we might be splitting this.
Okay,
So
thank you, Carolyn.
I might. All right.
Jackie,
Okay, I'm here,
wait, state your name for the record.
Jacqueline Fryer. Okay, OJ's, I've done the Mountain Buyers Club for years. I have a concern. I think that our fair is unique. I want it to stay unique. I think we are awesome to be able to allow every child to sell an animal, regardless of how they place. And what worries me is, Danny and I have been talking about it, and it's getting harder and harder to come up with enough money for the amount of kids that we have. And if you add more kids from another county, from another state, they're not paying taxes in Catherine. And I think that is a vital thing. We have to support the people that live here, that pay their taxes in Catherine County, that shop here, that spend their money here. And I think when you start allowing people from other counties and other states to come in and enter our fair, I think you are destroying what makes our fair unique. And I support some of the work that's been done with the fair board. I agree with that. I'm not sure that we need to have board members that come from other counties and other states. I think it should be board members from Catherine County should be on our fair board. You, as a fair board, own the county buildings down there. It's under your control, and that's just kind of how I feel. I don't want to step on any toes. I really appreciate what Marge does with the 4-H club down there, and I think it's wonderful that she has different kids coming down there and participating. But that doesn't mean that they should be allowed to show an animal at Catherine County Fair. I don't want this to become a jackpot. I want it to stay like it is, Catherine County Fair, with our kids that live here, that pay taxes here, that their families have grown up here. That's just basically how I feel as having a buyers club, business in town, and
Thank you. Do I have any other public comment?
My name is Jessica Becker. As far as
Can you come up front just so that we have one of the commissioners online, just so he can hear you? Sorry.
I just wanted to say that.
Madam Chair, I appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. So because my kids do buy their own animals for the fair, my husband and I, we're able to give back to this fair, and we do as much as we can, probably in the amount, at least in the amount of a sale price of an animal. Every year we try to give back to the fair. And we give to every kid in the fair. As much as we can. And as far as us, we spend money in this county every chance we get. We buy feed in this county for our animals that are shown here. And as you guys, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all go up to Springerville for groceries. I just kind of wanted to make that point. You guys spend money there. We spend money here every chance that we get. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Do I have anybody else? Okay. So public comments closed. We're gonna, move on to the number 7A, emergency ordinance 01-2026 prohibiting open burning in Catherine County Fire District 30. So, do I have,
Madam Chair, if I might,
yes,
for this item, the commission will have to motion to go into public hearing. And the point of the public hearing is to basically hear testimony from interested persons as well as certainly our fire service, because this is an emergency item. Now, an emergency item does not have to be given notice of a regular ordinance, which is 14 days. An emergency ordinance can be passed at any time, but because it's an emergency ordinance, that you're going to have to hear testimony about why is this an emergency, why does it have to be done right now? And then this board is going to have to make the determination of, yes, we think it's an emergency, we should adopt it, or we can change the ordinance, or no, we don't think it's appropriate, but the testimony is important at this point. So I would suggest moving into public hearing.
okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to move into public hearing?
Yes, can I ask you a question, please?
Yes.
Hey, Adrian,
Yep, I'll second.
Hold on.
Adrian, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes.
quick question. Within, the past and stuff, with what we've done here in Catherine County, how often has it been that we did, something like this where we just did it in one fire district? Cause I know that, as long as I've been commissioner, I know that we did it countywide, but have we done, this where it's just to one fire district?
Great. Sure. I don't believe that this county has ever limited it to one fire district. I believe that the county in the past has done an emergency burn ban quite some time ago. In recent years, this board has elected to do an emergency burn ordinance, but not a ban. The past few years, the ordinance has required that all persons in the county call either the fire chief or the fire or the manager, depending on the circumstances, to let them know that they're going to do an outdoor burn, and then that way the fire service can be at least notified that there's a potential, and then to say no, don't burn, it's non-burn day, or so that's what the county has done the last few years. But to answer your question, I am not aware of any time that a specific fire district is the only one receiving a ban. And if that's something that this board is interested in, you will definitely need to hear testimony of, well, why is this fire district different than the other fire districts or other areas of the county? Why is it more likely to burn than somewhere else?
Right.
Hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so,
So I'll motion to go into public hearing.
okay, Buster motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
So now,
now
Is important.
Adrian, is there a time period on the public hearing part where we open it up?
No, that there's no time period. That is up to the time limit is up to the chair on this. The other thing I did forget to mention is for a specific fire district, you would not just want to hear about why this fire district is more prone to fire this year or in a worse situation because of the conditions, but you'd also want to hear, okay, maybe there's something wrong in the district that they can't respond you know, that's everywhere else has the ability to respond, but I don't know, maybe all their fire apparatus is broken. So those are other important considerations.
All right, thank you.
So Adrian, can anybody in the audience comment on anything about this? Or is it?
This is for, absolutely, this is for everyone in the public to comment, and especially we want to hear from our experts.
Okay, thank you. So,
Yeah, may I take a seat up here and spread my documentation out? Is that the way with you?
sure,
Can I ask a question?
yes.
What is, Fire District 30? Can you tell us where that is?
The fire 30?
It basically covers the data area, the 8781 area code. I do have maps here that I can give you to show you that here in just a moment. But as far as documentation and testimony, I have prepared a little bit to give you an idea. I think it's no surprise that we're in a drought. We have been for quite some time. Last year at our fire cooperators meeting in the springtime, we were described as being 129th out of 130 recorded years of this weather being the most dry. So last year, out of 130 recorded years of them taking these weather stats, we were the 129th driest at that time. There is some discussion now, and I think those numbers will come out shortly, as to whether or not in the last year we moved to the 130th of the driest out of 130 recorded years. So with this year being 131 out of 131. In the best case, we're 130 out of 131, which means in the last 131 years, there's only been one drier year. And the problem we're facing now is, of course, it's not just an isolated year, it's a cumulative effect of the drought.
And is this going countywide or is this the District 30?
This is actually the entire Southwest, spreading from Texas into Arizona. So it does indeed take in Catchment County. I have some handouts to show you what the government websites are saying about the drought websites that I can get to you. But with that alone, it's causing us a great deal of problem. And with the fact that they have a cumulative effect of the dryness, we're talking about, here, that was mine. We're talking about the soil being dry to a great depth. I've heard 12 inches and more, which in a burn situation is quite important because the people don't realize that when the fire's out, it's actually still going underground. And we had 3 fires start last year because of that same effect. 2-3 days later, we get a wind event or some sort of burnable material shows up, and we have it igniting the nearby light fuels, spreading into the ladder fuels up into the trees. One of those fires was in January when we still had snow on the ground, and it still went to 8.5 acres. We chased that one down. One of them was in April, which I'll show you the map here later. It started in one subdivision and went to another. It spread to 43 acres before we could blink, and luckily we were able to get a handle on it with some help and get that corralled. The biggest event we had there that saved us was we had winds of about 2 to 3 miles an hour. Normally we get winds like we're seeing this week. You know, and our springtime winds are here. We're seeing 15 sustained with gusts of 40. That's generally what we get up in that area coming out of the west, southwest.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Why would we only want to do District 30 and not countywide?
I don't have the authority to ask for countywide ban. I did ask for special consideration in District 30 due to the conditions we have. I'm glad to see Mr. Johnston here can speak to those as well, because he's been working his tail off to try and get some of this mitigated. The first part I want to talk to you about is the drought conditions and how bad they are. Then I'll move into the more predominant stuff. But if you can see at the handout I've given you, the first page with the legend on the second page from the drought.gov center shows what we're looking at here. It shows the entirety of Catchment County in at least an 80% drought condition, with about 20% in extreme drought. And you'll see that extreme drought goes from, west of Quemado along Highway 60 getting into Daddle and curving right down into the west end of our district. That actually is growing at this time, from what I understand. You'll see on the third page, it's showing our typical precip and what we might expect. They're expecting normal for this time of year, which is not much. As we've seen, we've had a week of inclement weather, to say the least. I think we've accumulated maybe 1/4 of an inch of precip. It's pretty much all gone now, but with the winds drying that fuel out, we have even more issues. We see the 7-day forecast here, precip from the same site. We're not looking at much coming. On the next page, you're seeing the departure from normal temperatures. And in our area, especially up in the north, stretching around to the northeast and all the way down the east side of the county, which is our district, we're looking at departures of normal temperatures being 6 to 7 degrees higher at least. And that's for the foreseeable future. The seasonal drought outlook, you'll see on the next page on the top there, it's showing the entire state of New Mexico in drought. They're showing the entire west side, northwest side, the entire southern part of this state already in a drought and intended to persist, with the northeast part of the state developing into drought. And you saw on one of the earlier maps our flow coming from the southwest indicating hopefully normal precip. What we're seeing is that flow, that drought continuing from the southwest and impacting the northeast part of the state, putting them into a drought, making ours more severe as it comes along. And to answer a question earlier, you're looking here at a map of the 87821 zip code, which is basically the Daddle area. The next map you're looking at is part of our ESN response areas, emergency service number response districts. This area you see highlighted in yellow is our entire response area for Fire District 30 in the Daddle area. You see little tiny blobs of green in there. On the next page, you'll see a more distinct map showing our actual legal fire district boundaries. Our legal fire district boundaries are identified for monetary purposes only. We still respond outside of that to that entire area you see on the previous map, which is basically the whole east side middle section of the county, taking us to the county line and outside. So these maps are for reference. I do have another handout to give you I'd like you to look at. But before I do so, I'd like you to look at this map of the district, which shows it a little more in detail. And I did attempt to go out and find documentation by way of pictures to show you what it looks like, because it's really quite hard to explain what we're looking at here and the actual fire danger. I actually believe that because of the drought conditions, much worse than last year, we should be looking at a countywide burning ban anyway at some point, because we're in terrible shape with what these conditions are. These fires are spreading so quick that you can't hardly get to them. And people are very surprised when they start a splash fire burn, how fast it grows and gets out of hand. And they're really moving. But if you look at this map, you'll see where it says Fire District 30 and the number 30. That right below there is the Sugarloaf subdivision, spreading east into the Wildwood subdivisions, and then of course the Highway 12 up to Daddle. In my attempts to document this, to show you what we were looking at up there, I went and took pictures, which you'll see pretty quickly. And I ended up staying right in that area. You'll see that I have a whole lot more districts stretching out to the west and to the north. It's all the same. We're going to see clumps of dead trees everywhere. But if you look at what our typical our wind flows are on the southwest, you can see it's going to come up from this area and sweep right up around this way. That's what we typically get. And that's what we are getting right now. The Google Earth map on the last page shows you some of my bigger considerations. You'll see on the left-hand corner of that picture an X. That's the entrance to the Sugarloaf subdivision. That's after driving 4 miles north on Greenscap Road to get to that subdivision where it splits off. You'll see a little bit further to the right, a yellow line to the bottom there. It didn't come out very well. But if you extrapolate that line to the north, that's basically the division point between Sugarloaf and the Wildwood subdivision. There's lock gates there. Nobody's allowed to pass back and forth. Continue a little bit further all the way over to the end, you'll see an X directly to the right, the other side of Highway 12. And if you look really close, on the other side of Highway 12, there's a little tiny road going up into the Wildwood subdivision. We have one way in and out of all these subdivisions. That's it. If there is going to be a major fire problem there, where people are going to either voluntarily or involuntarily evacuate, there's one way in and out. And those are not good roads. That one way in and out is going to be jammed by people trying to leave, as well as fire apparatus trying to get in. We may not get in. So we have a panic situation in the fire we had last spring. We had a little bit of that where we had trouble getting support apparatus in there and finding places to put them at this time so we could battle the fire. But I just wanted you to keep that in mind as I show you this next packet of information. It's actually, in my opinion, the drought is bad enough to warrant something being done at this time because the conditions are bad right now. I think the conditions are bad enough for a normal condition, a normal burn ban. But when you look at the incendiary devices that are placed along this route, right about where that X is on that map I showed you at the entrance to the Sugarloaf division, you're going to see the first two pictures here. You're going to see the mortality and the dead trees. And that's where the road splits off. You'll see my truck there splits off to the left and goes forward. That's what we're looking at driving into that subdivision from the west, the predominant direction of our winds. Dead trees everywhere. You're continuing to see in this picture here, along the Sugarloaf Mountain, the cone there, at the base of that mountain, we're seeing dead trees all along that mountain. And the next picture shows it going into the Wildwood subdivisions from the Sugarloaf subdivision. That dead tree line continues. In fact, there's areas you can see up above that there's fingers of it that go throughout the subdivision. There's not a break in that fuel. Continuing on to the next picture, it's the exit of the Wildwood subdivisions to the east. You can see the Highway 12 lines there to give you an indication where we're at. So going up Highway 12, on the west side of the highway, you're continuing to see more devastation. You see these houses that are basically entrapped by all these dead trees. Now that condition exists in all of these subdivisions, especially Sugarloaf, both Wildwood subdivisions, and several of the subdivisions in Dattle, and some of the areas in and outside of Dattle. I have over 160 pictures. I didn't really want to inundate you with all of those. This gives a rough idea, but leaving here, going along Highway 12, the next picture shows you about a mile outside of 12 coming into Dattle with dead trees on both sides. They're extremely flammable. I don't even know how to tell you how flammable they are. As you approach Dattle, that line continues. And this is a picture of the elementary school in Dattle with all the dead trees around it. Looking back to the left, which is to the south, where all those trees go. Both sides of Dattle are the last two pictures. On either side of them, we have just hills of 70+% of dead trees, and some of them more than that. So not only given the fact that we have serious drought conditions and we want to try and keep any kind of spark down for a normal drought condition, I'm looking at the fact that, well, if we do get some sort of a fire event, we're not even looking at normal drought conditions. We're looking at all these dead trees with needles in the air. They're going to cause all of these fires to get up in the crown of these trees and run like crazy. Basically an aerial fire. Yes, we can go and battle fire. No, our equipment is not down. We do have one out for repair, but we have people and we have equipment. But we have no equipment for fighting an aerial fire. That does take aircraft. We don't have aircraft. The state of New Mexico does not have aircraft. Forest Service has aircraft, but they're not on base. They're not close. And given the fact that this condition persists throughout southern Arizona, all across southern New Mexico, and into Texas, where are we going to be on the list when we request that equipment? We may not get it for a while. But in the meantime, we're going to have people panicked. I get calls now. 2 days ago, I was out on a smoke scare. It was dust blown up by the wind, but people are extremely scared. When I get fires burning in the district, slash pile burns that are authorized and called in, dispatch is given the information. I don't get notified of them. That's not our system. but they have permission to do so. I get a lot of calls from the public, and I get stopped on the road. I get stopped in town saying, why are they burning? Why can't you stop it? What can you do about it? Can't you go stop it? No, ma'am, no, sir, I can't. I can't do anything about it. Well, it's awful windy. I say, yes, it is. There's still nothing I can do about it. So they're scared. The public is generally scared of losing their property. I'm getting a lot of phone calls of homeowners in these subdivisions asking, what can we do? And they're complaining that their subdivision LOAs are not doing enough to protect them, and there's nothing I can do to that. Honestly, when they ask me what can they do, I give them Scott's phone number. Throw him right under the bus. He's given me permission to do that. Thank you. But I think I'd like to hear from Scott, because my next page is notes that he told me on a phone conversation. So if you wouldn't mind.
All right, Scott Johnson, guys, fire wife guy, all brushing down. What he's saying is true. But it's not just up there. This is a statewide issue. Drought, Barfield's seen off a few times, still out, because they haven't got cold enough to kill it off. They haven't had enough moisture to what he's trying to say. There's like 15 subdivisions in this Attle area. There's not a one of them that has 2 ways out. They're one Sugarloaf, Sierra. Sugarloaf is very Sierra. You get in there and the fire comes up and down off the 60 or the Greens Gap Road there, you're in trouble. You know, Wildwood, like he says, it's Pie Town same way, all these subdivisions back each other. But there must be a squabble because of the lock gate. There's a road that goes into the next subdivision, but there's a lock gate, so there's no way for anybody else to get out if something happens in their subdivision. To bring up people burning, I wish they could burn. I can't keep up. But I think Mother Nature's telling me what to do right now. You know, it's not safe to burn. We got a guy west of Kamado talking to Green Canyon yesterday. There's a guy that has a little truck that says fire patrol. Probably know.
Yes, sir.
All right, you probably heard stories about this guy.
Yes, sir.
So he owns quite a few lots in there. There is not a tree left in this subdivision. It is desolate. But he thinks he's got the knowledge that he can burn when he wants to. And people in that subdivision, when you come and sell, even ask me for this thing, if they'll get all of you guys. I'm sorry. It's only legal. But I'm like, I agree with all you guys. I don't think it's just his district. I really think you need to ban it countywide. I mean, you look out here at the airport, just by the highway department, Shiloh, you've worked with the Forest Service. What would happen if that caught and headed right up to the towers? That's going to be a fire right there. Right? Pretty ugly.
Yeah, I think whenever you start looking at fires and fire behaviors, there's a lot of different aspects to it. So, I mean, I don't know what's being proposed if this is just to go into, for just a short period of time, for a good time, for indefinite, but you ebb and flow. And whenever we get a good monsoons, then we get lots of green grass growing, then we got lots of grass. When that dries out, then you have big fire seasons because you have the fuel to carry fire. So sometimes in droughts, you don't have that much grass green up, and if you're grazing, you don't have a lot to carry fire. So every place is different. Some places are going to be grazed, some places aren't. A lot of times, whenever these trees are dying, they're going to have yellow needles that are dead, and whenever they start falling, that'll increase the fuel load on the ground. They'll be there to carry fire a little bit more active than they normally would be if they were green. But I think your main concern is where you have a large fuel loading of grass and it hasn't been grazed down, because it's going to move quick and you're not going to be able. It's going to cut off great escape grass.
That makes
you know.
It is, Shiloh. Thank you. And I didn't mention that we do have a lot of grazed lands along the highways, but not in the subdivisions. And we have a lot of people cutting these trees with these dead branches laying around. We've got huge piles laying everywhere. So we do have a lot of ground fuel ready to take off and run with this, and that's gonna run it into a crown fire pretty quick, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I guess typically the county goes in and out of restrictions along with the Forest Service and the state, the BLM and other agencies. And they kind of coordinate efforts to go in. I would imagine that this year they're gonna go in earlier if we don't get good moisture and stuff, but I think there's avenues that do that already. I'm not sure what we're proposing.
Yes. I'm trying to keep fire out of that area because you're right, we do have people starting fires in the wind. Right now, they can start a fire on their property irregardless of anything. There's nothing they have to do except notify dispatch. Dispatch never even notifies us. They just have to call it in. And I get a lot of complaints with people burning 15, 20 mile an hour winds, and their neighbors are very upset, especially the neighbors above them, you know, when they see fire below them. And honestly, there's not a thing I can do about it. I'm not enforcement anyway, but we don't have any enforcement rules in place to stop that. And I think once it gets started in one place, as you see by the pictures, there's just gonna be not much stopping it.
Well, water's been an issue. Lakes are, a lot of lakes drying up, snow lakes been drying up, the drought been hard. I mean, any of you that have cattle, you know what the hay situation's looking like. I talked to my hay guy the other day. Sapporo's never started in the yellow for irrigating. They're in the yellow, they haven't even started irrigating because there's nothing coming from the north up there. It's trying to work too. So, it will.
Becky?
I'm sitting here listening to all this, and what's going through my mind right now, I don't know if anybody's paying attention to the Oklahoma fires, but those are devastating, and I think we're in a worse drought than they were, and it's already burned over like 300,000 acres, and it just keeps going, and they can't get it under control, and I foresee that in my head in Catron County. If it once it takes off, it's just going to be devastating.
One of my bigger concerns are what's happened in the past, not necessarily here, but when we have a fire, and Scott's mentioned, it's a nightmare trying to get in and out of those places up there. We had a little 43-acre fire that we had no wind on, and we were able to catch it with some help. And we had a lot of time navigating our equipment on there because of the looky-loos and people moving in and out. If we have to have an evacuation situation out of here, it's dangerous. It's liable to turn into an extremely serious situation because people will not be able to get out and we won't be able to get in. And there's no way to calm those people, and we don't have a really good community communication system in place, do we, in the county, to let them know where they're going. And if I'm in charge of that at the time, I cannot have them take back roads out of there unless I've been on them to know that all of their vehicles will make it and that there's somebody stationed along the way, because if we bottleneck up, that's going to back them up in the subdivision, and we might be looking at some fires we've seen about in other states where people are waiting to get out and burn to death in their cars. We don't want that to happen either. And the panic will happen on their own. It won't even have to be a reverse 911 situation where we alert the public or something like that. It will happen on its own.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think it's countywide, statewide. I used to fight fire back in my previous life, so you look around at all the dead, and then we're coming into the windiest season.
Yeah, I agree, and the reason this is here is because this is the only area of responsibility I can talk about. Is my district. And I know it's extremely bad, and having talked to Scott, it's everywhere. So in my opinion would be a countywide, but that would be up to y'all.
Lily?
At the last board of directors meeting, the remaining executive board member in Mexico County, the fire affiliate asked the board to support a bill basically that would give the state the authority to do this. And their reasoning was they don't want to do it at a local level because they don't want to make people mad. So if they can pass it up higher, and every board member in there except one said, no, this should be handled at the local level. Don't pass your responsibilities off. This is your job. But if you're going to do this other than Larry's district, then I think you need to advertise it and let people from the other districts come and have a say. Because I'm sitting here listening to all this and I'm wondering, then why are we having all these burns by the Forest Service? Because that's not going to affect the beds. They're going to do whatever they want.
And we are in the #1 fire district here in Patrick, well, they call it the Patrick Creek Fire District. They're predicting that the next catastrophic wildfire will be here. I think they're specifically looking at Blue Mountain, honestly. So I get where you're coming from, but I also get that when you have 33 county representatives saying, handle it at the local level, that's fine. How much the local level is gonna affect going up as well, because we can't control it. And you know, we've had burdens over there. So if you're gonna do this countywide, then have another hearing and let the people from the other districts out say. That's what I'm saying.
No, we'll have to. This is only District 30, but my question was is why are we only doing District 30? And so.
Well, I did request it. I requested to be heard because I think it's quite critical in
Well,
our
thank
area.
you. Thank
And
you.
I'm looking at the protection and preservation of life more than anything else.
Madam Chair, really quick, this is an emergency ordinance, and it is simply within the discretion of the board. It does not have to be limited to District 30. It can be countywide or other districts or no district. It was presented as a District 30, but the commission has authority to act in all aspects of life.
So, may I ask you? Adrian, what would be the availability of instituting a temporary ban and then pushing this to the next commission meeting to open it up for public or a countywide ban? Does that make sense?
Certainly, you could do that. You could do it at this point for just this district, and then have another item for countywide at a later meeting. Certainly, that's appropriate. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I would just suggest talking with the other fire chiefs and the Forest Service, the other fire organizations and get their take on it so that you're kind of getting all the information and see what they suggest, because they're probably looking at something similar already in talks, but I think that would give you a whole lot more information before you make a decision on the county to get more investment money for it.
I would tend to agree. I wanted to try and contact some of the other fire chiefs, but with the time frame, I couldn't get them motivated enough to get their information together. But they are concerned as well.
Well, we have time. The next meeting is going to be the 18th, so we could put it out so that everyone's aware of it and have time.
And I do want to say that I was talking with zoning, which is the district forester, and Charles the other day about, and I brought it up because I'm not a fire expert, but I just brought it up because of the concerns. And with the state, the zoning mentioned that if the state doesn't back us up, it's hard to have a ban countywide because people are going to be like, well, it's not, like, with legal reasons. They'll be like, well, I can't get arrested or something. So they just said with the county, it would just be hard to do it as a county ban if the state doesn't back it up. So it would just be good to have each of the fire chiefs to kind of get in and agree with it, that it would be a good idea, just so the community can be educated on it. Just understanding that the embers can fly and hit your house. So like no matter where the fire is, it could go to another house. That's why we go to countywide instead of just one spot. But they might go off one spot and be like, if they're doing it, then maybe we should do it too. For each district. And that's kind of my take from Hatfield Forestry.
Anything else?
No, ma'am. Any questions? I have.
I don't have
Thank you.
anything. So again, on this public, do I need a motion to get out of public hearing?
I motion to reconvene regular session.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did he even leave us?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to action items. 8A, consideration of emergency ordinance 01-226 prohibiting open burning in Catherine County Fire District 30.
Yes, and
You want to do it? You want to mention?
sure. I motion for a temporary ban on District 30.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, direction to staff regarding sewer line at the clinic facility.
Madam Chair, the discussion, so previously I mentioned that we have, historically, the clinic building has had ongoing sewer line issues. So every 6 to 8 months, I guess for the last 20 odd years, they've had to go in there, camera it, and clean out a roof ball of some nature. So a couple months ago, Jerry did that once again. But this time I said, you know what, let's investigate, let's solve the problem. So we investigated, we found an approximate about 8 foot long stretch of pipe, which is a 3-inch pipe that connects to the city sewer that has a crack in it. So the roots are penetrating that. And so we do not have formal quotes yet, but we do have TLC Plumbing that is on state contract. So they are going to submit us something this afternoon, and hopefully they'll have the actual specialist out on Monday to give us a really, really firm number. But we're looking at pulling out that chunk of pipe up to the T, and it's about a 10-foot section of pipe, and replacing it with a poly pipe, so it lasts longer.
And we don't have any quotes of what it's going to.
We don't have anything yet. I have a verbal that it's in the price range of about $20,000, because what they're going to have to do is actually go through the existing foundation. Luckily, this section of pipe is right next to the exterior of the building, so we only have to destroy about 6 feet of foundation on the inside of the building. We're going to have to jackhammer that section of foundation, that room that's kind of it faces the DWI building.
Okay, so where is that money going to come out of?
We have an allocation already for maintenance of that clinic building, so those funds are allocated for the maintenance project. So, and Becky can clarify that, but it is LATCF funds that you guys allocated for maintenance.
Okay. So
I know that one might, and hopefully we'll get further, because they're gonna come out with another camera, right?
Yeah, so they need to make sure that the existing pipe is in good enough shape to basically do this repair. Because if they need to go further than the damaged section into the building to make sure that we're not looking at, 5 years from now, we're in the same situation, right? So
this is the other concern that I have, like if we're gonna spend this money to fix it, and we're having to destroy that part of the foundation to redo it, we gotta, let's make sure that, so that this is a one-time fix.
and that discussion and investigation will occur.
So, we have a motion for staff to look into this and.
Right, so this would be something that we either do a special meeting or to put on the next agenda, but.
Yeah. So I know we need to get the clinic up and running. So once you get quotes and we know what we have to do, if we need to call a special meeting so that we can get the ball rolling, and so we're not waiting another 3 weeks, let's do that. So do I have,
So, I motion to direct staff to find more information to see if additional, maintenance is gonna have to be done on the sewer line. And then see if we need a special meeting to. Yes, pass things to.
All second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, consideration of resolution 42-2026, establishing a grant review and advisory committee.
Okay, so this is actually a joint thing with the treasurer and the finance director. So this is something that Becky and I have been throwing around for a while. Kim brought it up as something that the county would truly benefit from. And we think that we need to have a cohesive group that discusses the ability for us to even fund these grants. So prior to the department going out and capturing the grant, we need multiple people to tell us that we have the ability to do that grant numbers. So, and I don't know if Becky and Kim would like to speak on the topic of it.
I do, I just. A committee is very important, because if we would have had a committee in the past, we would not be where we're at right now. That's the plain and simple truth. And, you need the different aspects of it, because, you know, you've got finance and treasurer and others looking at it from all angles to say, yes, we can, you know, yeah, we can move forward with this grant. No, the match is too high for the county, you know, whatever. There's all different kinds of situations. And it needs to be voted on, because we can't just keep moving forward like, oh, here's a grant, let's just go for it, you know. One person can't be deciding on these grants. The county will never get out of trouble. And this is the only way to stop what's happening right now. Is to have a committee.
Thanks, Becky. Kim?
I agree with Kimberly Butler. I agree with everything that you said. I think if we have more eyes looking at it, we get a better perspective of how it can help the county, how we can, you know, utilize grants better, and you know, it gives not just the public, but it gives you guys a better understanding of, you know, where we are financially. And you know, even I know some people don't like the EV chargers, some people do. You know, I think you know, infrastructure is important, but also listening to people on what infrastructure is important to them, you know, is also, you know, something that should be in consideration. So I think having this committee would really, really help just you guys, us, and the public. I think it's a win all.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? So, do I have a motion?
Sure, I'm wishing in favor.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on, consideration of resolution 41-2026.
Sorry to interrupt, but who's gonna be on the committee? So voted to do a committee, but who's gonna be on?
So,
So the composition of the committee is the county treasurer, the finance director, the grant manager, the county manager, one county commissioner, and one member of the public.
Yeah. May I ask, do you have experts on that? Like if you're looking at, like, just, you would put another person on that board, if we're looking at, something else, would you, we'll put a plumber on the board. Can it be moved like that so that you have experts in that situation, you know?
So it's discussed that experts are consulted during the grant application, you know, the thought process. So for this policy, they reach out, discuss it. If the committee members, so that we wouldn't change the membership of the committee just for that grant.
and it's more so like whenever they have the committee where everyone's watching all these grants that are coming in, where they can see like there's different grants that mature at different times, just so that we don't get ourselves in trouble like we have been with like having all these grants and we can't, there's not money. So I think with more eyes on it and more people looking at it, it's gonna help go a lot smoother. I'm sorry, Becky.
And this, Carolyn, so this committee is basically to look at it from a financial point of view, it's just flat Canada County and Lebanon. It's not, it's, so before any plumber, electrician, or anything gets involved, we're gonna decide whether that grant's gonna go through or not. And if the grant goes through, then that's when you get your other people, like, but it's not, this would just be a deciding factor, is, and an oversight of what's happened. Because there hasn't been oversight. So that's what it is, but it's not, it's strictly on the county level, like just deciding, are we gonna do this next grant? Can we afford it? Can we not afford it? It's like, that hasn't been done in the past. It needs to be done.
All right, thank you. So consideration of resolution 41-2026 budget adjustment. That's not special.
So these are transfers. So this is, let me see here. Oh, okay, I remember now. The LATCF money. Buster, you had mentioned that we could pull some of the LATCF money to cover, the Kamado. The Kamado Community Center grant expires in June 2026, so I'm asking LATCF for $250,000 to put towards that grant. So we can keep that going and get all the infrastructure and everything ordered, get all those things that we can get ordered before the deadline. And then get those reimbursements coming back. And then once the reimbursements come back, that $250,000 will go back to LATCF. The second part of it is I'm pulling back the $250,000 that I gave roads, and I'm pulling back the $50,000 that I gave Firewise. Sorry, Scott. But and the only reason I'm doing that is because we have been told that the SRS funds, the 2024 SRS funds will be deposited by the end of this month. So that's the only reason I'm pulling that money that we lent them back. So, and that, I'm just pulling it back, and it's gonna be sitting in the general fund until we can decide what grant we need that to go towards. So I'm trying to free up funds here and get the process going to where we get these reimbursements coming back to handle the rest of these grants.
Just to clarify, the original money that Becky donated to the roads and Firewise was part of the savings account funds that we, so that's how that was funded. Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I motion to approve the budget adjustment.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consideration of resolution 44-2026 authorization for separate bank accounts for fire, EMS, and CLLA. I think so.
So I know that, I was talking with Audrey, and the transparency, is something that you said was important. And I think that having these separate bank accounts, especially having restricted money, with fire and EMS in their own bank account, I know that's something that fire chiefs have wanted for a long while now. And I think commingling the funds between our general fund and our restricted funds, I think it needs to be separated for that transparency and for the safety of the funds, for restricted monies. Same with the CLLA, just mostly that's for transparency and safety. And I think getting our ducks in a row financially and having a better understanding of where we really are, because I think when you look at the bank account and you see how much we have in there, it doesn't, you're like, oh, we're good, but when you look and you see that we have, 8 million, I think was on the sheet that you sent me for fire.
Somewhere between 8, yeah.
When you have 11 million in the bank, but 8 million is restricted, just for the fire, and there's other restricted funds in there too, like Lily's 1% fund, the clerk's fund, there's CLLA money in there. So I think it just gets a little murky. And if we have that separation, I think it's just gonna be a lot easier for everyone to really know where we're at eventually.
No, I agree, and I would motion this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Okay, the next one, consideration of resolution 43-2026 opposing Senate Bill 17 as unconstitutional and reaffirming the county's Second Amendment sanctuary status. Adrian, do we need to do that? Because I know that bill, that died yesterday.
I'm Chair, thank goodness that bill died yesterday, and I thought, and as a lot of people thought that we would be considering this resolution today just to send to the governor and in the hopes that she wouldn't sign it, but thank goodness it died. So, Senate Bill 17 is moot at this point. That said, you still may want to consider the resolution for the record, and just that it also affirms the county's Second Amendment sanctuary status. That's up to you if you'd like to do it for the record, or if you would like to wait until they go after it next time, which they will. Your fault.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. So I'm gonna motion that we still consider this resolution.
She's talking about calling the special session so that you can hold the special session.
And it'd be good to have it.
Yeah.
So I still, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're now breaking for executive session. Motion and roll call vote to recess regular session and go into executive session and not pursuant to New Mexico State Statute Section 10-15-1. Only the following matters will be disclosed in closed session. We've got A, pending or threatened litigations, B, personnel, C, real estate, and then the I is the fairgrounds.
You have a motion?
So
Yes, I motion that we, recess regular session, go into executive session.
all second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call. District 1,
Buster Green, aye.
District 2,
Audrey McQueen, aye.
Hayden Forward is gone.
Okay, we are in executive session.
And what time
This
is it?
shouldn't take too long, and then, I mean,
10:01.
Yeah, we'll try to go real quick with this so that you guys, because we know that most people here.
okay, so I need a motion to vote for reconvene regular session.
I motion that we reconvene regular session.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion and roll call vote that matters discussed in closed session were limited to those specified in motion for closure and that no final action was taken as per New Mexico status section 10-15-1.
Motion?
All motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
District 1,
Buster Green, no action taken.
District 2,
Audrey McQueen, no action taken.
District 3.
Forward, no action taken.
Yeah, no action taken.
Okay,
So.
okay, so we're moving on to action items, continued discussion and direction to staff regarding the Fair Board and county-owned fairgrounds. Do I have any discussion? Okay, so do I have a motion?
So I do have a motion. So, and this deals with just what we've been provided as a commission and stuff. I motion that the Fair Board immediately review and bring into proper order its financial records, reporting practices, and federal employee identification number, the EIN status. Sherry, I can send this to you so that
Please.
you have it all.
Okay.
Right? Requiring that all required registrations, filings, and documentations are current, accurate, and compliant with applicable state and federal law. Motion that there is a bylaw revision Board composition, that the Fair Board revise its bylaws to limit its governing board to 7 voting members, and that all voting members be required to be residents of Catron County, New Mexico, or be residents within a Catron County school district. Deadline and review, that the Fair Board complete these actions and submit written confirmation of compliance and any revised bylaws to the county manager and commission no later than March 17th, 2026, and that the commission place this matter on its March 18th, 2026 regular meeting review agenda for review and any further action deemed appropriate.
I'll second. All in favor? What?
Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry, did I also hear that we recommend that the board have a ex officio group as consultants that are not voting members?
That would be up to the board to establish, Hayden.
Oh, okay, all right, just as long as it's clear that that is an option for them.
For sure, so that everybody understand that you can have ex officio members, out of state, out of county, where they can still put input, help, and everything. We just feel as a board, the Fair Board needs to consist of county residents. So I'm gonna second Buster's motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next.
Unanimous.
Okay, next commission meeting will be March 18th, 2026, 9 a.m. at the Fire Admin Building located at 3 Mountaineer Street. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thanks, Hayden. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Bye, Adrian. Bye, Adrian. Thank you.
And,
It's 10:35. I want to talk to you before you leave.